Well, definitely. So I think we have Galena on the line.
Yes, we do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have to admit, I was really excited when I got the email from the Job Creators Network, and they sent me over your bio, and I was reading it, and I understand you're a fifth-generation farmer and beef producer. And
yes.
A lot of people, when they think economy, for some reason, they keep forgetting about agriculture, which is, that one leg of the stool that is as important in some areas like mine, more important than some of the others. So it's exciting to have you on the line, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
So fifth generation, so was it back in the 1800s then your family actually started farming?
Yes, actually, our first piece of ground was patented to us for the ultimate sacrifice given by one of our family members. So it's pretty cool to have that, that legacy in our family. We've been, fighting for our country and working for the betterment of our country, our entire lives. And so that's pretty special for us.
So you've got a really unique position to the extent that y'all have been farmers in your family for so long that you've seen the change of farming in this nation kind of pivot over time, both from farms going from private to large corporations, as well as technology. What have you seen that's been the biggest impact on the agricultural industry out there?
Science and technology. I mean, and I think that's from any entrepreneur standpoint, right? Like the technology, the change, that exponential change that we're experiencing right now throughout the world is having a huge impact on agriculture. And I would argue that most farms are family farms, like 98% of them, and so they're just bigger than what they've been in the past because we're less than 2% of the world. Farmers are, and so we need technology and we need science to be able to do things more efficiently because our farms are bigger and we're trying to produce as much food or more food than what many more people were trying to do 100 years ago. And so we rely on technology in a huge way and the science as well.
And it was interesting because I was going through your Twitter, which is nothing like Donald Trump's, by the way. So, but I was going through your Twitter, and it was exciting because you retweeted something from the American Farm Bureau that started out Ag is STEM. And like you said, entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter whether we're in the agricultural industry, we're in the transportation industry, we're always looking for ways to innovate, and we're looking for that disruptive technology. And so I love when you mentioned that on there because a lot of people don't look at or recognize how much technology is changing. I mean, I would imagine, from what I understand from some farmers out here, tractors that are basically GPS based that you don't have to get in there and drive them in the mornings. They can get up and do what needs to be done. How has technology really kind of changed that industry for y'all?
So I mean, for one, it just makes us better at our jobs, right? We use the GPS technology to make sure that we're planting the right varieties in the right spots. If you have a wetter area in your field that doesn't produce as well, what can we change up there and what can we plant that will grow better there instead of just throwing resources at it and it's never going to grow in that environment. We use less chemicals and less fertilizer because we are very precise about how we plant and how we do those things now. And so just overall making us better. And we want to be better. The land, the livestock, that's how we make our living. And if we don't take the very utmost care of it, then we won't have it to pass on to the next generation. And so we're very passionate about doing those things and doing them right. And I think that is the biggest impact that technology has had on the American farm and the American farmer in the last 30 years.
Now, Galena, have you run into situations where regulations have gotten in the way of some innovation out there? For example, I know drone technology is really big, and I have read where that's been a big piece of opportunity for the agricultural industry as well, but it's heavily regulated using drones for commercial use, et cetera. Has there been, from your perspective, kind of an overregulation on new opportunities?
I think regulation in general been something that was holding the economy back, and especially for farmers and ranchers. But under Trump's administration, we've seen a lot of regulation rolled back, a lot of regulation not just rolled back, but being rethought, being reprocessed, like the waters of the U.S. That was had a huge impact on our farm and many farms across the nation. And so just having an administration that is mindful of those things, and when a regulation comes out, that it is going to impact business and it's going to impact the economy, it's been huge for us, and we're really excited about that. But yeah, I mean, anytime a regulation comes out, it just stalemates things. It keeps growth from happening, and so again, we want to do things in the right manner. We don't want to be doing things that are harmful for the environment or harmful for anybody. But we're pretty mindful of that anyways, like I said, because we have to take the utmost care of our land for it to produce for us. We can't just take from it and not give back to it, or we won't have as good a crop next year.
Makes sense. And, you brought up Trump, and I know one thing you and I have in common is we were both working for the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and since today is tax day, mm-hmm. have you all seen an impact? I don't know if you've got your taxes filed. I know you can get automatic extension. I know you all have a large farm out there, but have you all done the prep work on that, and have you all seen an impact in your business from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act?
Oh, absolutely. That 20% small business QBI deduction is huge. It just allowing you to invest back into your business and, make some plans for the future. That's been huge. And I think that's been huge for most small business. I mean, I can't imagine it not. But I'm also a CPA. It requires, the farm requires somebody to have quite a bit of knowledge in that realm. And so, we've just visiting with other CPAs and other, entrepreneurs across the Midwest. And, it's been a really good thing for us here in the Midwest. And we're really excited about it. And we hope that we can get it extended past 2025.
That's wonderful. And I'm with you on that, too. And hopefully we can get that accomplished. So I think it was up until recently, I don't know if you still hold the post, but you were the chair of the American Farm Bureau's Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee, and I know you had a strong focus on that younger generation, trying to reach them and making them understand the importance of farming in rural communities and carry on that tradition of agriculture down through generations. What has been that biggest challenge that you've seen about making sure that this tradition continues and this heritage continues?
The biggest challenge really right now is that agricultural economy is running counter-cyclical.
Galena? Whoops. I think we may have... Oh, we lost Galena there for a second. So
we did, but she's calling back, so let's
perfect.
Get her back going.
Galena?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry.
We lost you for a sec. We heard counter-cyclical, and then we lost you. It's probably a big word. It gave me some time to go to my dictionary. So,
okay. So, yes, the agriculture economy is running counter-cyclical. And so while, the economy is booming and all, for most everybody, the ag economy is going the other direction. And there's a lot of different factors that fall into that, and things that are way out of everybody's control, like all of these natural disasters that we have been experiencing here, and that's farming, and we understand that as well. But it's hard for the younger generation to get excited to take over the farm or to come back from college and try to make a difference, because we're struggling to even hit the bottom line. And take dairy farmers for instance, they're not even getting enough for their milk to cover their feed cost at the moment. And so those are really concerning things for us in agriculture, especially for the younger generation, to keep them excited, to keep them empowered, to keep them wanting to be involved. And we're going to have to produce more food in the next 25 years than what we've had to produce in the last 100 combined for our growing population. And so we have to have this younger generation who wants to be here and who wants to use the new science, the new technology to push our industry forward. But it's struggling times right now. It's pretty tough, and we need things like the new Canada-Mexico trade agreement. We need Congress to ratify that and push that through, and we got to quit sitting on our hands. I mean, there's several things that are affecting us right now, immigration reform, those types of things. But if consumers want a safe, affordable, abundant food supply that they can get domestically, everyone's going to have to get on board.
No, and that makes sense. So tell you what, if you can hold on just a couple of minutes, we got to do a small break, pay some bills with some commercials, but I'd love to have you back in just a second to talk about that trade deficit.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We have Galena Bruce on the line. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Start the season right with a $2,500 rebate on a new system from James River Air during our 10-10-10 sale. Take 10 years to pay, get a 10-year warranty, plus 10 years of maintenance free. If your comfort system's running like a 2, call James River Air and we'll get you to a 10.
We've now had a full year of the Republican tax cuts, and their effect on the economy is self-evident. Unemployment is at record lows. Businesses, large and small, are expanding, and people's wages are going up. The average American saved $1,400 last year in federal taxes, and the average family of 4 saved $2,900, money that Nancy Pelosi calls crumbs. Maybe if you're a millionaire from San Francisco like Fancy Nancy, $2,900 isn't much money, but almost $3,000 isn't crumbs to me. If you want to see how much you've saved, check out the calculator at taxcutswork.com. And while you're there, sign the petition to tell Nancy Pelosi to leave your tax cuts alone. Hardworking Americans know how to spend their money better than bureaucrats in Washington. The site was created by the Job Creators Network, and along with the calculator and petition, it also features real stories of small business owners who have put their tax savings into growing their businesses and rewarding their employees. So go to taxcutswork.com.
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
So good morning. This is Glenn Davis filling in for John Fredericks on the John Fredericks Show. We're having a great morning here with Kira, and we have Galena Bruce on the line, a fifth-generation farmer out there in Missouri with the American Farm Bureau, and we're discussing the agricultural industry and a little bit of the history, but mostly the impacts that regulations and taxes is having on it. Her work to make sure that that next generation is still able to have the agricultural industry flourish. And specifically, right before we took a break, we had just mentioned the trade agreement. And Galena, can you take a second? Because a lot of people hear about this trade agreement, and what they don't kind of draw the line between is the discussions that we hear that the president's having and what Congress needs to do, and then what that means to the agricultural community, and then how that impacts the cost of food on their plate. If you can kind of walk us through that.
Absolutely. So, we are really good at what we do here in the United States. And I think that's true for most entrepreneurs. We've been given a great framework to work inside of, and so we can do our jobs and not have to worry about, certain things like, you can go be a doctor and not have to worry about who's going to put food on your table because there's farmers and ranchers working to do that for you. And so it's a really cool system that we have that most other countries don't have. But we're good at producing food and doing it well. And so we produce more than what we can consume in the United States. And so then we go to our trade agreements to send those to other countries that need it. And so, Mexico, Canada, those are our top 5 of who we trade with, and billions of dollars back and forth in agricultural goods. And so it's very, very important that we get this new trade agreement ratified, and that there's no lull in our trade, because that would be even more detrimental on the agricultural economy than what we're experiencing right now, and it would just put a lot of family farms out of business. And so it's important that the American people realize that we have to have these trade agreements to keep the agricultural economy leveled out. And it's also important that we renegotiate some of these agreements, like with China, Japan. We have a really hard time trading with the European Union simply because, they're trying to consume their own agricultural products. And so, we need to renegotiate some of these and take advantage of some situations in some other countries so that we can continue to grow our ag economy. Again, we're running counter-cyclical, and so that basically means that we have to have size of scale. Our farms have to be bigger so that we can make a living for our families. You can't just make a living with 100 acres anymore. It takes a couple thousand. And so, and sometimes that's hard for people to understand, but that those are just facts. Our commodity prices are low, so that means we have to produce more to be able to make a living.
Sure. No, it's kind of all that kind of economies of scale, and it makes complete sense. How, obviously you're a beef farmer, but there's farms all over in my neck of the woods. We have a lot of different farms out here, so these trade practices impact everyone, and it impacts all of us when it comes to the cost of food. How can people help? Is it just reaching out to the congressman? Is it a website they can go to? How can they kind of get involved and kind of help hopefully push this a little bit harder through Congress?
Absolutely. So, yes, please contact your congressman. Tell them we need these trade agreements and we need their support on them. That's probably the biggest thing right now is getting it to come up for a vote in the House. We need them to start that process and push it through. We know we have the votes in the Senate to make it happen, but we need them to just bring it up for a vote in the House. And from there, there's a great organization called Farmers for Free Trade. And they are traveling across the country right now, talking to people, talking to farmers, and talking to communities, and just letting people know the issues. And so you can get involved with that organization. Go to their website, farmersforfreetrade.com, sign some petitions, that sort of thing. And so we need everybody on this to push this through, make this happen. This agreement didn't change a lot of things for agricultural, more so it changed manufacturing and things like that. But we didn't really need it to change much for agriculture. It was good for us. And so we just want to go ahead and get it pushed through so we can maintain those trade agreements.
Galena, we have, I guess, about 2 minutes left, and you had touched on another topic before the last break, and that was immigration. How is the immigration policy or lack of reform with it impacting agriculture?
So on farms and ranches, we have a lot of jobs that, we don't really have workforce for. We have low unemployment right now, lowest that it's been in the last 50 years, and we're very thankful for that. But even 4 years ago when we had high unemployment, back when unemployment was 18%, we still couldn't fill these jobs. They're just jobs that the American people don't really want to do anymore. And so we're talking about milking cows 3 times a day, 3 a.m., noon, and 5 or 6 p.m. And so cleaning out stalls, hand weeding vegetables, hand planting vegetables, hand picking vegetables, just hard work and that's okay. The American people, they can go to college and get degrees and go do whatever they want to do. And we are thankful to live in a country like that. But we rely on a migrant workforce in agriculture to get some of these jobs done because we just can't do it ourselves. And so we really need an immigration reform package. We've been needing it and calling for it for 30 years in the agriculture community. But, things that are important to us is that there's a way for our current workers to get legal if they're not. These people have been a part of our farms, our communities, working hard, doing good things for us for a long time. And so if they're not legal, we need a clear path for that, for citizenship for them.
Wonderful.
But then just, some sort of program, some sort of visa program where we're not losing our workforce. Right now we have the H-2A and H-2B. It's red tape after red tape after red tape. We also raise strawberries on our farm. If I need workers in May to pick strawberries, I can put my paperwork in and I can say I need these workers May 1st. They might not show up till July.
Oh, no, completely understand. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I apologize. I think the music got ahead of us there for a sec. But I really want to thank you for your time. And, Galena, we got to jump to a break, but how can people find more about the American Farm Bureau or you? Is there a website they can go to real quick?
Yeah, fb.org. You can find all of our policies, how to get more involved, be a great volunteer for our organization, and help the American economy and the agricultural economy flourish.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for having me.